Well, hello, friends. Welcome to the very first ever episode of Spotlight on Unified Champions. My name is Craig Tornquist, and I've been very proud to be connected with Champions Together for 6 or 7 years now. If you've not heard of Champions Together, it is a very unique partnership between the Indiana High School Athletic Association and Special Olympics Indiana. And because of this partnership, what we call the Inclusion Revolution has exploded in the state of Indiana, and it's all because of individuals who have chosen to embrace this and make it part of their story. We have three people here today who were in this from, boy, if it wasn't the first week, it was week number 2 or week number 3 of this movement. And I'm very excited to have them all three together. They are very good friends. And I've gotten to know 2 of them very well. And the third one I've been hearing about for years now. And I'm so excited that she is here. First of all, we have got Mitch Bonar. And Mitch is a proud graduate of Noblesville High School in 2015 and now a student at Indiana Wesleyan University. We have Abby Abel. And this is the young lady that I've been hearing about forever. She is a proud graduate of Carmel High School, which makes me like her already. Class of 2015 and now a senior at Purdue University. And batting cleanup is the man, the legend, Mike Hasch, who his journey began with Champions Together and Unified Champion Schools as athletic director of Noblesville, which we'll talk about in just a couple minutes. And now it's taken him to this chapter of his story, and he is the director of Unified Champion Schools for Special Olympics Indiana here in this great state of ours. I'm going to talk to all three of you, but I want to start because it seems to me in my research that really the one who got this moving of the three of you is Mitch. And Mitch, before you were ever involved with Champions Together, you were involved with Special Olympics. Is that correct?
Correct. I was a track athlete.
And how old were you when you started your journey with Special Olympics?
If I remember correctly, it was 6th grade.
6th grade?
After 6th grade, it was I turned, I remember, 14, I think, during summer games, which was always really fun for me because I got to celebrate my birthday during summer games.
Why did you get involved with Special Olympics? What was your life like prior to getting involved with Special Olympics?
Yeah, about that. Prior to my life getting involved with Special Olympics was really rough for me. I wanted friends. I wanted to feel included. I had some friends, but they weren't the brightest people or the nicest people in the world. And through Special Olympics, I was given a family with open arms.
And you already said you loved participating in them. You loved the summer games. So how did you first learn about Champions Together, which was a brand new thing? Where were you when you first heard about this thing called Champions Together?
Yeah, a young man named Lee Lonzo came to me in the middle of a snowstorm. It was my junior year of high school, and he came up to me and he wanted to talk to me about going to a trip to New Jersey with a young lady from Carmel who ends up who's behind me, is my best friend. And
so where were you at the time? Because this sounds like a strange gentleman approached you and said, would you like to go to New Jersey with me? And that's all kind of creepy. Where were you?
I was at my house. It was a snow delay and we had school canceled, and I was so excited, and Unified sounded like something that Noblesville really needed to do. And I knew that if I didn't do it, who else would do it?
So he plants this seed, and you decide, yeah, this sounds pretty cool. What did you do next? Did you share this with your parents? What happened next?
Well, my parents were at the meeting, and they told me, yeah, this sounds real cool. Are you sure you want to do it? First thing I did is sign my life away and said, yeah, of course I want to do it. And then I signed it. And after that, I was like, okay, I'm going to New Jersey with this girl from Carmel. Who knows what she's going to be like? Who knows how she's going to act around me? And And I knew about when I learned about Unify, I said, I got to get to the athletic director as soon as we have school again. And my mom's like, don't do it. You're going to ruin your relationship with this friend you just met. And I said, no, I'm not. I'm just going to do it. And I said, I'm going to do it. And I don't care. I've heard it's student led. I'm a student. I'm going to go do it anyways and do it.
So you're at this call out meeting. Lee gets you very excited about this whole concept. You disregard your mother's advice like a good son. And I didn't realize this till recently. It was the next day you went into Mike's office, right? So
Correct.
walk me through this. Mike, let me ask you, you are athletic director at Noblesville High School. You're a very busy man. And walk me through the morning. This is the morning after Mitch meets Lee for the first time. What happens in this meeting?
Yeah, so I'm just sitting there at my desk doing some work, and all of a sudden, like out of the blue, here comes this kid who like is flying into my office, sits across from me, and his head is hung down, and he's talking to the ground, and I'm not understanding him clearly, and I'm thinking, who is this kid? Where did he come from? What is going on? And I hear him start talking about unified and his thoughts and ideas on what he wants to do at Noblesville. And I start thinking, I am so swamped with everything. There is no chance we're going to be able to do this. We don't have time for this. My plate's already full. And the more he kept talking, the more his passion kept coming out. And it was one of those, here is a 15-year-old sophomore boy who took the courage, number one, didn't listen to mom, to come in to my office, whom I had never met before. I had never known who Mitch Bonar was until that morning, and was telling me his thoughts and ideas, and it kind of gave me and my athletic team kind of that leap of faith. We needed to take this opportunity and see where it led, and man, has it done some great things for a lot of people and communities.
Well, all right. So while this is happening at Noblesville, Abby, you're at Carmel High School. You don't know Mike Hasch. You don't know Mitch. How did you get to, you're a student athlete, right? What sports were you involved with?
I was involved. I was on the basketball team at Carmel.
Okay, so basketball's kind of always been your passion.
Yeah.
All right. So how did you hear about this for the first time?
So the first time I think was probably going at the end of my sophomore year, going into my junior year. The partnership between the IHSA and Special Olympics had just occurred, and they were looking for a student athlete to be able to be partnered up with a Special Olympic athlete, and it was kind of just about happening. Like, there wasn't a lot of details, just this was going to be a life-changing opportunity. And like Bruce Wolf called me down to his office. He was the assistant AD, and he kind of talked me through it, and I was like, yeah. And so eventually it got down to me, and I got chosen, and we didn't really know exactly what we were doing or where we were going to go with it. So that's when I kind of got involved. I went to the North America conference for Special Olympics, and then the following year got involved with Mitch. So when I got involved with Mitch, I was probably a year into it as we were going through it. But it was quite amazing. I think it really propelled, once me and Mitch got together, and we had so much in common with sports and, just the, love for unified sports. So it was pretty great.
So you and Mitch end up together in New Jersey. So Mitch has kind of got two tracks going on here at the same time. He's getting things moving at Noblesville, but he's also kind of won the heart of Lee Lonzo, and he's now heading to New Jersey. And the two of you are given an assignment to, that you two got to come up with some sort of a presentation to make to people, and kind of like a career fair exhibit hall thing where you got to work a table. The two of you got a tag team and make a pitch to anyone walking by about what you want them to know. Can you two kind of reenact for me what this pitch was that you put together, which was really so effective?
Sure. We started with SMART goals, which were specific, measurable, attainable, reasonable, and timely. And those were huge for us because we knew that we were just starting, and we knew that we needed to have a set of goals in front of us to make sure that we met our goals.
Yeah, so with the help of Lee, we basically put together what we thought we could do in the next 5-year plan. And
Okay.
so that's what Mitch kind of outlined was how we were going to create our goals, something that was measurable, something that we could actually attain and actually measure if we made it or not. So that was basically, we put down a poster board. We let everyone know. We kind of let everyone know what was currently happening in Indiana, where we wanted it to go. So at that point, only a few schools were sort of getting involved with Unified Sports. It was just kind of at the beginning, and we were in 5 years, we want 100 schools to get involved. We want the student advisory committee to kind of be combined and be an inclusive student advisory committee. We had these huge goals, and as we're saying them, we're getting really excited. We're pitching it. Mitch is doing his thing, connecting with everyone.
Yeah,
and
she was very nervous at that time.
Yeah. So
it is scary. I mean, you got strangers coming up to you. You don't know each other very well. You got these strangers coming up, and you've got to do a 5-year plan for something you've been thinking about for an hour. Yeah, that's not an easy assignment.
Yeah. So it was really cool to have that written down. I'm pretty sure Lee still had the poster, and then to come back as upperclassmen, then even in college, and then come back to actually see that we had actually attained these, and not even attained them, but far past them than what we even thought. So it was really cool to actually see it go from the the bottom baseline to where we are now.
Well,
Right.
Apparently you two really made an impression on folks, and that led to you being chosen to be on the National Youth Advisory Council. Is that right? Mitch, what was involved with that? What were your responsibilities on that?
That is a really tough thing, though, because we were trying to advise other youths on why Unified was more important and how important it is. And it was really fun. We got to travel a lot, or me and Lee did. It was hard because Abby was in basketball season, but it was really fun doing all these trips. And she always called in on us, see how it was going, and that kind of built our friendship. Traveling halfway across the United States to go to Seattle. I mean, that allowed us to say, hey, what are we going to do? And we really wanted it to continue. We know it's continuing now, but we know that with our goals, we were probably, if we had one more year, we would have been in charge of our group that we were a part of.
Okay. So Mike, these two are working on this track, and Mitch has helped light a spark, or at least pique your curiosity. Unified Track is the first sport that Champions Together was putting on. Did the rest of Noblesville leadership, the faculty and staff, say, "Oh, Mike, this is a great idea. Let's do it"? What kind of reaction did you get internally from that school?
It was very unknown. It was a new path that the IHSA and Special Olympics Indiana was blazing with this Champions Together group. So it was kind of like, if the athletic department wants to do it, you guys can do it if you want. So Mark Booth, who was in central office, was a big supporter because of his ties with Special Olympics and how he was involved with the board and the Unified Champions schools. So my assistant AD at the time, Tony Euler, and I, and obviously Mitch played a huge factor in everything we did. We began the process, and we had 2 internal coaches that were phenomenal. And I think it made a huge difference that Coach Skaggs was very familiar with Unified Sports, having played Unified Basketball in college. So He knew it. He knew kind of maybe some expectations. And then Coach Maggie was a great assistant. And those 2, along with our support and backing, began to grow this program.
Well, Mitch, you're shaking your head yes every time he talks about these coaches. So you finally you're going to a school practice now, Mitch. You're on a unified track team at Noblesville High School. You get the uniform, and you're now practicing with other student athletes. How was that different than being a Special Olympic athlete, and what did that mean to you?
Well, not to rat out Special Olympics, but with being a part of my high school, it allowed me more confidence in myself. And I knew as soon as we had our team that we would beat Carmel every year because I wanted to beat Abby so bad every year, except our senior year, so we could go in together. But it was just so fun because I knew that great opportunities were going to come. We were going to be state champs. I was close a couple of times, but that's okay.
Yeah, it sounds like you're over it. That's good.
I knew that in my heart that we were going to do great things, and a lot of great things were going to happen through this opportunity and stuff. And again, I got to compete against Abby in a sport that I'm better at it than she is, and because in New Jersey she creamed me in pig, so that's another story.
Yeah, I heard you two in New Jersey used to sneak off at night and find an open basketball court somewhere and shoot around. And so, Abby, you had been on Carmel's basketball team and has probably played basketball through middle school and earlier than that. How was joining the Carmel Unified Track Team? Was this a different experience, and if so, how?
Yeah, I don't think I really knew what I was gonna expect or what was gonna happen. We first fielded a team. We had 9 people come out, and eventually every year it got bigger. But I think the biggest takeaways was, like Mitch said, we weren't very good when we started, and Carmel's kind of known of if you don't win a state championship, it's sort of like a failure in your sport. It's very much a winning mentality. Whereas with the unified track team, it was very much just having a blast. We always were dead last, but I had a blast. You would have had no idea that we just probably didn't even get on the scoreboard, but we're out in the middle of the field having a dance party, because it was more about giving the opportunity to athletes that don't always get the chance. And so it's kind of cool, things that I've taken for granted my 4 years, being able to change in a locker room or taking a team bus. To me, that's just normal things, but to the athletes, it was a completely surreal experience for them. So it was kind of, especially my junior and senior year, it was able to kind of bring me back to how I was as a freshman, and just kind of remind me of the little things, putting on a jersey with Carmel on the front, things that we take for granted. They didn't always get that. So to see the excitement on their face, it made me kind of remember though these are the things that really matter about sports, not the wins and losses, but just being with your team and having the opportunity.
Well, and that's what, they call this the inclusion revolution. And that's that, if you've been on the teams all along, it's another season. But if you've never even been able to join the team and wear a uniform, I mean, that's what real inclusion is about. And when we do our assemblies, I mean, that's what, Mitch, you are so effective at communicating to the students that I was on the team. I wasn't a person in the stands. And you talk about you knew all the athletes' names. You've been watching them for years. You knew all their stats. Now you were on the team, and what a difference that made. Abby, there's one story that I heard about you where your first, I don't know if it was the first time you guys went to sectionals, or you had come in last place, and for you that is not a badge of honor as a Carmel athlete. But one of your athletes that you were partnered with, they had a completely different reaction to the day. Do you know what I'm talking about here?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I remember that. So I was really disappointed. I kind of felt like it was a failure of our first time out here, because, we were oh, we're going to win it all. We're going to go to state the first year. And here we didn't even get out of sectionals. And I remember, looking at one of the athletes, and they just had a huge smile on their face. And I was just why are you happy? I'm just kind of we didn't even place. And he just kind of looks at me, and he just kind of looks down at his jersey, and he was I've never had one of these. I'm finally out there. And it was just that moment that I was so we did make an impact. We did do something, here I'm trying to measure it normally, wins and losses, where I should have been measuring it the impact and the inclusivity of it, being able to include people and, get people on the field to wear a jersey that don't normally get the chance.
So this was one of the best days of his life.
Yeah, completely. I mean, here I'm upset, and this
Yeah.
is the best day ever.
Yeah. Perspective is a good thing. So, Mike, you were a high school athlete, athletic director. You've been a coach for many, many years. How was coaching or being a part of Unified Sports? How was that different for you? Was that kind of Abby just talked about how it changed her perspective totally. How about you? How did it impact you in that way?
It was by far probably the best thing that I had ever been a part of and had the opportunity to create as an athletic director and administrator. Changed the lives of many people. I looked forward to every day going out to practice, and it was more the camaraderie of watching, the friendships that were developed. It was, Lee would come to some of our practices or some of our meets, and there were, many times that I was emotional and would shed a tear or cry, and he would just look at me and go, "This is great, isn't it?" It was beyond great. The opportunity to be a part of this movement when it began, Noblesville, Carmel, we were 2 of 13 schools around the state in year 1 of this unified track and field with the IHSAA. And it was by far the coolest thing. And the fact that, we had meets, we even hosted a senior night. I remember Mitch and Abby's senior year, we hosted senior night at Noblesville, and we invited the Carmel seniors and their parents to walk our track and be announced.
Oh, wow.
That's how inclusive this became for us. And this is a rivalry, hatred rivalry in other sports, but the unified sport aspect brought us together, which was, I thought, the greatest thing.
Mike, you told me a story about I think it was your second season, and how what I love about this story is one of my favorite parts about Champions Together is when we get together. Mitch, when Mitch and I get together, we laugh a lot, and you have to have a sense of humor if you're going to get the most of these things. Tell about the story about the young woman who was set to really, if she just delivered, and the competitor, Mike Hasch, she just delivers, we're going to do really well. And then what happened?
So we're at state year 2, and we really are looking and we've got a shot. We have a shot to win. This will be exciting for this senior class. Mitch is part of it. He started it. I'd love to send these seniors out as state champs. And we're in a race. And this young lady, Mitch, you're gonna have to remind me her name. We're running down, and I think it's one of the 100 events. And she's in the first lane, and she's running. I'm at the finish line, and she just stops 5 feet from the finish. And we're she's in second place at the time. And it's come on, you got to get across the line. And I can't touch her. I'll DQ her if I touch her, but I want to grab her and pull the line so she.
And you're close enough, you can.
I'm within arm's distance of her, and she is so mad because there's a young boy that is not cheering for her, and she stops. And she goes from finishing second to 7th.
Yeah.
And those points changed the difference of the ball game, but it really changed my entire perspective on why we do it and why we're there.
Yeah, I'm with Ash on that. It was my birthday that day, so I was really hoping for the one. So but I understand why we didn't win, and it allowed me to be a better person after that. So,
well, she gave you a special memory for your birthday, Mitch. You'll always remember that day.
Yeah,
definitely a changing, defining moment.
So, Mitch and Abby, what kind of doors has this opened for you two? Abby, let me ask you, because you were a captain of the Purdue ladies basketball team this year, right? And so you were one of the leaders of a collegiate, and I'm not sure I'm going to say this correctly, but I heard that you were the only young woman in the history of Purdue basketball to get a scholarship as a walk-on athlete. Is that correct?
Under the current, the head coach. So
yeah, that's an amazing accomplishment. And so your senior year, now you're a leader on the team. You're one of the captains, and I'm assuming you were chosen by the other players on the team for that. Do you think you would have been that had you not gone through Champions Together and Unified Sports? Has that? And I don't want to put words in your mouth. I'm just wondering how this has changed your pathway over the years.
I think Champions Together really taught me the meaning of servant leadership. I've always been, from Carmel High School, team captain for 2 years, was on varsity as a freshman. You sort of led by the fact that you were one of the best, the skills, stuff like that. But then being thrown into coming into Purdue as a walk-on and then having to earn my spot, a lot of people could see that as a negative or take it, be like, oh, I was the best in my high school, not like the whole not being in the spotlight sort of thing. But I think Champions Together really helped me understand that, you can serve not always being the best, but also, just serving other people. And I think that really changed my whole leadership style, as well as, working hard, of course, and getting the skills, but then also just being there for your teammates, being there behind the scenes off the court. And I think by the time I became a senior and people had seen the hard work I had put in, but also how I gave back to the community and how I gave back to the team and how I was always, team first. I didn't always play. I always didn't get in the game. And so, the team, looked at me in the bench and I'm cheering them on and I'm serving them off the court. They want to be like, well, I want to play for you. And it's a completely different, atmosphere coming from that, from Unified Track. We always weren't the best, but we embraced what sports was all about. And I think that's what I was able to bring to the Purdue team is just, hey, winning is great, but let's be able the best we can be and let's support each other and let's be a family out there, win or lose. And I think Champions Together really helped me embody that.
Well, and that's the motto, servant leadership changes lives. And you just said that beautifully. Mitch, I know this has changed your life, and I think Mike has got some pictures here that I think this would be a great time to have you two kind of narrate and tell us what the picture represents and how this will kind of document your journey a little bit. Where this looks like a very young Mitch and Abby. When was this picture taken?
So it was 2014 in New Jersey at the Summer Games, the USA Summer Games.
Yeah, and about these summer games is we did a vlog, and we went over what we did that day and how excited we were. We actually got something that we weren't supposed to get this day. If I remember correct, they thought we were the part of the whole team Indiana, but we were just two of us, and we got the whole Indiana treatment. We had the military following us and everything.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. When we landed, we got a escort. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. You could get used to that.
I don't know.
And where's this one taken? This looks like, and for those of you who are watching that don't know Lee Lonzo, he's the cute guy on the right there with the mustache. Where was this picture taken?
That was in LA at the Special Olympic World Games, 2015.
Yeah. So how we got there, though, before we get to this, keep going through all the pictures, how we got to World Games is we were still on the national yak, but me and Abby wanted to go to World Games because we thought, how much fun would it be for us to go to World Games together after our senior year of high school and be able to do something after high school, because we thought Champions Together is great, but Abby's moving on. I'm going to miss her a lot. What are we going to do? And that's where our idea came in and it allowed us to go to Los Angeles together, see Mattel together, meet Dikembe Mutombo and Abby Wambach together. We got to do a lot of cool things. And that's in Trojan Stadium at USC. and that is the opening ceremonies.
Wow. Very good.
Yeah.
That's a great
Yeah.
picture.
Another Seattle.
Now, where's this one here? Seattle. So you guys, you're going coast to coast here. New Jersey, California. This is up to Seattle. When was this taken?
So this was beginning of senior year, so 2014 in Seattle. This is when we were on the National Yak. They invited us out for it was like a extended weekend of events of learning more, of inclusive events, how to bring back to our school and connect with other people. And then we got to see some unified soccer while we were out there and put on
University
actually
of
a
Seattle.
clinic.
Yeah, it was at University of Seattle. And guess what? Me and Abby have only, I think, 3 years soccer experience under our belts, and we had to do a soccer clinic.
Yeah.
You two had to lead a soccer clinic there?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Is this what you wore?
This is when we went to prom our senior year. I invited Mitch to my senior prom.
So you guys went to prom together. So you guys have really become friends. I mean, this is not just an assignment you two have taken on and said, yeah, this is fine. I can work with this person. You've actually become friends.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well,
that's a great picture.
The most interesting thing about this is I wanted to ask Abby to prom, but she was busy. So she comes and surprises me and asks me to her prom. And I'm going to be honest here. I didn't know how I was going to react. I almost cried. So
wow.
That's how close our friendship has gotten. And she's wearing heels.
And now people won't believe this. You two, from this journey, you end up being the grand marshals of the Indianapolis 500 parade.
Yeah.
What was that like?
Well, honestly, it was a tough time for Noblesville at that time. And we went through a shooting the day before.
That was after the school shooting that made national news.
Yeah, yes. But as a Noblesville person, I try to be as positive as possible and show that light to through me and Abby being ourselves, and that's what we had to do. And that you could see me pointing at someone, and that's me pointing at Lee, saying, "Oh, I see ya." I loved doing it, and it was so cool. And my best friend and I got a memory that we'll never forget for the rest of our lives.
And how was that day for you, Abby?
Yeah, it was honestly amazing. I mean, even the events leading up to it. I don't know, like throwing back to how we found out we were grand marshals was they announced it at a Play Unified event I was hosting at Purdue, and that was completely just surreal. And then being able to actually live the moment with Mitch, it was just absolutely amazing. And the amount of people that we knew from both Carmel and Noblesville, and old teammates that came and supported us at the parade. I mean, it was really cool.
It was really funny too, because I thought it was an award for her and she thought it was an award for me, and it turned out to be for both of us.
Well, and one of the things that you two did that told me what kind of character that both of you have is I didn't know that, but they let you take the car for a while. Is that right? And who did you go pay a visit to when you had the keys to the convertible?
Well, as soon as first of all, I asked them because I was I wonder if they'll ask me to give me the car. And then when I called Mitch and I was like, guess what, I'm in. So I visited Mitch, and then we were like, you know what, we have to pick up Lee and Pat. We have to as a thank you, pick them up and take them to dinner. And so we were like, it's going to be a surprise. So we told Lee to clear his dinner plans, and then we picked him up, and then we took him to dinner.
And he had no idea. This was a complete surprise.
Right, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. That is awesome. Yeah, Lee and his Great White Path. That is very cool. And this, the NFHS, that's National Federation of High Schools. What was your role there?
So we were speakers at the NFHS conference. I've spoken there a couple times. I told them it would never be the same if I can't do it with my best friend. And they told me I could bring her along with me, and it was awesome. And to go back for the Indy 500 for a second, so it was my birthday, and I was turning, I was turning 22. Mm-hmm. So my best friend found me a one-of-one Indy 500 car that we drove, Hot Wheels.
Oh, that's cool. That's a great memento. That's great. Yeah. Very good. Mike, I want to come back to you for a second here. Oh, I'm sorry. There's another picture. I thought that was the last one. Where was this taken?
Oh, that was at Seattle. So my senior year of college, so 2018 summer.
Mhm.
And we got invited to be the closing keynote speakers of the youth summit out for the USA games out in Seattle.
Yep. And just like we were there 4 years ago.
Yeah, so it was really cool. It was cool to attend the summit in New Jersey, like you saw in 2014, and then 4 years later, be like invited back to sort of be teaching the youth then of like where we were 4 years ago and where we are now and where they could be. So it was a completely like full circle moment.
Wow. Well, Mike, I want to come back to you now. You are no longer the athletic director at Noblesville High School. You have a completely different title, and that's Director of Unified Champion Schools for the entire state of Indiana. Talk to me about this journey that started with a young man walking into your office. And can you believe that you're doing this now?
No, it obviously it was life altering. And it's led me down a different path, still associated with schools, working with athletic directors, principals, superintendents. One of my first assignments was to take Mitch and Abby to Seattle for USA summer games, which was a blast. They're a lot of fun to be around. And one thing I learned about Mitch that I kind of knew but didn't know is that Mitch is a stranger to no one, no matter where you are. If it's the airport, a cab ride, no matter what it is, he will just chat us up a storm, and they're like great friends as he walks out. But that, that's who Mitch is, and it's great to have watched both Abby and Mitch together, because I'd heard a lot through Lee about this special bond and relationship they have. But then when you get to witness it and see it, it is truly a special bond that they have created and a friendship that will last a lifetime.
Abby, you're a senior right now at Purdue, is that right?
I finished my senior year last year. I'm getting my master's this year, so I'm a graduate student.
Okay, so what advice can you give to a high school sophomore? That's the age you were when this began, this journey with unified sports. What advice can you give to a high school student just getting started that may not have found their niche yet, maybe they have, about why they might want to consider getting involved with unified sports?
I would definitely tell them that even if they don't know a lot about it, to just jump in, because as soon as you witness it and be a part of unified sports, like, you can't help but fall in love. So that was kind of me. I didn't really know what I was getting myself into, but once I saw it, once I experienced it, once I had all these life lessons, it was like, how couldn't I have said yes? And so I kind of took a leap of faith when I joined, but it was definitely no regrets. Completely changed the trajectory of me and Mitch's lives. So I definitely would, tell a high school sophomore to go for it. Completely immerse yourself into it, go in with an open mind, and just you're gonna know, it's gonna leave your life touched. I think when I got involved with it, and I had a meeting with some people in Special Olympics and the CEO, they were like, this is going to impact you. This might change you. And I was, as a sophomore, you're like, I don't even know what I'm going to do. And as soon as, I was a year in, I was like, they're completely right. It completely changed what I did in my free time, my friends, just where I wanted to spend most of my time. And just my outlook on life completely changed.
Well, I've heard wonderful things about you, and based on this conversation, they're all true. And I'm really glad you were able to take some time today and join us for this. Mitch, I'm going to give you the final word, because this all started with you. What would you like to share with people who are watching about unified sports and the inclusion revolution?
Well, our word hurts, and spread the word to end the word. That used to be our saying. But the thing that matters most to me is right now I'm still in college. I'm working really hard. And I actually am working currently not redoing my story, but adding on to my story,
Sure.
Going into another athletic director's office.
So, and both of you are trying to get this. I know you did this at Purdue, Abby. You worked on inclusive sports at Unified Sports at Purdue. And so, Mitch, you're now trying to get it going at Indiana Wesleyan?
Correct. And I wasn't thinking I could do it. I was very nervous. And I talked to Lee and Mike about it, and they said, Mike's like, you went into my office at 15 years old without you being brave, and now you're telling me that with your great voice and great personality that you're not brave enough still to go up to your college athletic director and talk to him. And I'm like, I'm still a little nervous. He's like, come on, you did it to me when you weren't even who you are now. Come on, do it. So I did it, and before this big issue we're having right now, I went out there and I talked to him, and we're about to get I think we're going to do a unified basketball tournament like we did with Purdue, and I'm very excited, and God's blessed me with great friends and great family, and I thank everybody who's been in my life, and go find your friends and those people who will change you, because you never know when the next door will be open.
You're awesome. You are awesome. I was taught in college there are 3 ways to lead: by example, and by example. And all 3 of you have lived that out, and you are the faces of servant leadership changing lives. And I'm delighted that you were the first guests on this show, and it was as fun as I thought it was going to be. Thank you. And we look forward to the next chapter that's you're going to write for each of you. And you've been a blessing to me, and I want to thank you for being here today. All right. And that's the first episode, folks. We're going to do this hopefully several more times. And thank you, Abby. Thank you, Mitch. And thank you, Mike. And everyone, we'll see you on the playing field. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.